The morning sun cast soft light across Kalara Prime's crystal cities. Captain Hana stood on the bridge of her research vessel, watching the peaceful world below. Her people, the Villani, had built their cities from living crystal that grew like plants. The towers swayed gently in the wind, creating music that could be heard from space. Hana's ship was exploring the outer edges of their solar system. They were looking for new minerals and maybe signs of other peaceful life. The Villani had always believed that any species smart enough to travel between stars would be wise enough to choose peace over war. "Captain," said her science officer, "Kelu, I'm getting strange readings from the edge of our sensor range." Hana moved to look at the display. Dark shapes were moving toward their system. They were big, much bigger than any Villani ship. The ships looked rough and dangerous, covered in sharp points and weapon ports. "Try to contact them," Hana ordered. "Maybe they're explorers like us." Kelu worked at his station, sending out greeting signals in every language the Villani knew. The response came back as a harsh growling sound that made everyone on the bridge step back in fear. The alien voice was full of anger and violence. It said words the Villani translation computer could barely understand. Words like conquest and weak prey and glory through blood. "Captain," Kelu whispered, his face pale, "they're not here to explore. They're here to attack." The alien ships moved faster now, rushing toward Kalara Prime like hungry predators. Hana counted at least 50 vessels, each one bristling with weapons she had never seen before. Her own ship had shields, but they were meant to protect against asteroids and radiation, not weapons of war. The first attack came without warning. Bright energy beams struck the orbital research stations above Kalara Prime. The beautiful crystal, structures that had taken decades to grow, were destroyed in seconds. Hana watched in horror as pieces of her world's greatest achievements burned in space. "All ships, retreat to the inner system," Hana broadcast to the other Villani vessels. But it was too late. The alien attackers were everywhere, surrounding them like wolves around sheep. The alien leader's voice boomed across all frequencies. "I am War Chief Thakran of the Brutari Empire. Your world is now our hunting ground. Your people are now our prey. We will take what we want and kill what we don't need." Hana had never heard words so cold and cruel. The Villani had no concept of hunting other intelligent beings. They didn't even hunt animals on their world, living instead on plants and synthetic foods. The Brutari ships began their assault on Kalara Prime itself. They targeted the crystal cities first, turning the beautiful music into screams of breaking stone. Hana could see fires burning on the surface of her homeworld as millions of her people ran in terror. "Captain," came a desperate voice over the communications. It was Governor Yelu from the capital city. "They're not just destroying our buildings. They're hunting our people for sport. They're taking children as trophies. Please, can anyone help us?" Hana felt sick. Her people were artists, scientists, and gardeners. They had never developed weapons because they had never needed them. Now their greatest strength, their peaceful nature, had become their greatest weakness. The Brutari were different. Hana could see it in how they moved, how they attacked. These aliens had evolved to kill. Their ships were built for war, their weapons designed to cause maximum pain and fear. They weren't just conquering the Villani world, they were enjoying. "Adikelu, can you access the Galactic Communication Network?" Hana asked. "Yes, Captain, but who would we call?" "We don't know any other species," Hana thought quickly. The Villani had always monitored signals from across the galaxy, hoping to find other peaceful civilizations. They had detected many different species, but had been too afraid to make contact. Now they had no choice. "Send out a general distress call. Broadcast it on every frequency we know. Someone out there must have principles, must believe in protecting the innocent." Kelu worked fast while explosions lit up the sky below them. He sent out a simple message in every language the Villani database contained. The message was desperate and honest. "This is Captain Hana of the Villani Republic. We are a peaceful species under attack by warriors called the Brutari. We have no weapons, no military, no way to defend ourselves. They are killing our children, for sport. They are destroying everything we have built. Please, if anyone receives this message, if anyone believes in justice, help us. We don't want to die. The message went out across space, traveling faster than light to distant stars and unknown worlds. Hana didn't know if anyone would hear it or if they would care, but it was the only hope her people had left. Below them, more cities burned. The Brutari had landed ground troops who were hunting Villani civilians through the crystal forests. Hana could hear the screams over the radio as her people were captured, tortured, and killed. "Captain," Kalu said quietly, "I'm detecting massive explosions in the northern continent. They're destroying the art galleries and museums. They're burning our libraries." Hana closed her eyes. The Brutari weren't just killing her people. They were destroying everything the Villani had ever created or learned. Thousands of years of peaceful civilization were being wiped out in a single day. On a distant world called Earth, in a place called the Deep Space Monitoring Station, Lieutenant Jiho was working his usual night shift. He monitored signals from across the galaxy, looking for anything unusual or dangerous. Most nights he found nothing but static and the occasional pulsar. But tonight was different. His equipment picked up a signal unlike anything he had ever heard. It was desperate, frightened, and completely honest. A species was dying and they were asking the universe for help. Jiho listened to the message 3 times, then called his superior officer. "Admiral Minho," he said into the communication device. "You need to hear this." Admiral Minho arrived at the Deep Space Monitoring Station within an hour of Lieutenant Jiho's call. He was a tall man with gray hair and scars on his hands from his years as a Marine. His eyes were the kind that had seen too much war, but still cared about protecting innocent people. "Play it again," Minho ordered. Jiho replayed the desperate message from Captain Hana. As the Villani woman's voice filled the room, begging for help, Minho's expression grew darker. He had heard many distress calls in his 30 years of military service, but this one was different. This wasn't soldiers calling for backup. This was civilians being hunted for sport. "What do we know about these species?" Minho asked. "I've been researching them, sir," Jiho replied, bringing up data on his screens. "The Villani are a peaceful species. They have never developed weapons technology. Their ships are designed for research and trade only. Look at this." The screen showed images of Kalara Prime before the attack. Beautiful crystal cities that looked like works of art. Gardens that stretched for miles. Schools where Villani children learned about science and music instead of war. "And the attackers?" Minho asked. "The Brutary Empire. They're a warrior culture that expands by conquering other worlds. They keep their conquered peoples as slaves and hunt them for entertainment. Sir, they've destroyed 18 civilizations in the past 50 years. Minho studied the intelligence reports. The Brutari were strong and tough, evolved on a world with heavy gravity and dangerous predators, but they fought like pack animals, relying on fear and overwhelming numbers. They had never faced an enemy that fought back with intelligence and strategy. They think war is a game," Minho said quietly, "a sport with rules and honor. They have no idea what real war looks like." Lieutenant Jiho looked confused. "Sir?" Minho turned to face him. "Lieutenant, what's the most dangerous planet in our sector?" "Earth, sir. It's classified as a Class 12 death world. Extreme weather, natural disasters, predators, diseases, toxic plants. Everything on Earth either wants to kill you or has evolved to survive things that want to kill it." "Exactly. And what did that make us?" Jiho understood now. "The most dangerous species in known space, sir." Minho nodded. "Get me the Defense Council, full emergency authorization, and prepare the Armada." Within hours, Earth's orbital shipyards became centers of frantic activity. Admiral Minho stood in the command center of his flagship, the Soul's Fury, watching as hundreds of warships prepared for deployment. Each ship represented thousands of years of human evolution on a world that tried to kill them every single day. Commander Hayuk approached with tactical reports. He was Minho's second in command, a smart officer who had studied warfare on dozens of worlds. "Sir, we have 847 ships ready for deployment. Every vessel is armed and crewed." "Good. What's our transit time to the Kalara system?" 18 hours at maximum hyperspace velocity, sir." Captain Sora joined them on the Yao bridge. She commanded the stealth fighter wing, small ships designed to strike fast and disappear. Her pilots were among the best Earth had ever trained. Admiral, I've been studying Brutari tactics. They rely on intimidation and brute force. They've never faced an enemy that uses deception or precision strikes. Major Do-hoon arrived with his Marine Battalion commanders. He was a big man with calm eyes and steady hands. His soldiers were trained to fight in any environment, from zero gravity to toxic atmospheres. Sir, my troops are ready for boarding operations. We can take any ship they have. Dr. Nari, the fleet's chief scientist, brought intelligence briefings. She was an expert in alien biology and psychology. Admiral, I've analyzed both species. The Villani are fragile but intelligent. The Brutari are strong but predictable. They follow patterns that we can exploit. Minho listened to each report, then called up a display of the Kalara system. Red dots showed Brutari positions. Blue dots showed the few remaining Villani ships hiding in asteroid fields and behind moons. Dr. Nari, what can you tell me about Brutari psychology? They value strength and honor above all else, sir. But their definition of honor is twisted. They think hunting helpless civilians makes them warriors. They've never faced a species that could hunt them back. How do they react to superior force? Historical. Data suggests they retreat when faced with overwhelming opposition. But, sir, they've never encountered anything like a human battle fleet. Minho studied the tactical display. The Brutari had 50 ships. Earth was sending over 800, but this wasn't about numbers. This was about sending a message to the entire galaxy. Commander Hyuk, I want you to understand something. We're not just rescuing the Villani. We're showing the galaxy what happens when someone attacks a species under our protection. Sir? The Villani sent out a call for help. We're answering it. From now on, every peaceful species in this galaxy will know that humans keep their word, and every predator species will know what happens when they hunt the innocent. The human fleet entered hyperspace as one massive unit. 847 ships moving in formation toward a distant star system. Each ship carried weapons designed by a species that had spent millions of years learning to kill each other. Humanity had survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters that would have destroyed any other species. Now they were bringing all of that evolutionary advantage to help strangers they had never met. In the hyperspace tunnel, Admiral Minho broadcast a message to his entire fleet. Thousands of human soldiers, pilots, and officers listened to their commander's words. Today we go to war for people we've never seen, on a world we've never visited. The Villani asked the universe for help, and we answered. That makes them our responsibility. The Brutari think they can hunt helpless civilians for sport. We're going to teach them what real predators look like. The message was heard throughout the fleet. Human crews prepared their weapons and checked their equipment. They studied intelligence reports on Brutari ships and tactics. They planned boarding operations and rescue missions, but mostly, they got angry. Humans were pack animals, evolved, to protect their group against any threat. The Villani had asked for protection, which made them part of the human pack, and the Brutari had hurt members of the pack. On Earth, news networks reported that the largest military fleet in human history was heading to war. People gathered in cities and towns to watch the deployment. Children asked their parents why the soldiers were going so far away. The answer was always the same. Because someone asked for help, and humans always answer. In the Kalara system, Captain Hana was hiding with the last free Villani ships behind, a gas giant's moons. Her people were dying on the planet below while she waited helplessly in space. The Brutari were taking their time, enjoying the hunt. Then her communications officer picked up something impossible, a response to their distress. Call, Captain, I'm receiving a transmission. It's from someone called Admiral Minho of the Terran Defense Force. Hana had never heard of Terrans, but she didn't care. Someone had answered their call for help. The message was simple. Captain Hana, we received your distress signal. We are coming. Hold your position and protect your people. Earth remembers its friends. For the first time in days, Hana felt hope. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kalara system like a force of nature. 847 warships appeared in perfect formation, their weapons powered but not yet firing. Admiral Minho stood on the bridge of the Soul's Fury, watching as his tactical displays lit up with Brutari ship positions. "Sir," Commander Hyuk reported, "all ships are in position. The enemy has 53 vessels scattered throughout the system. Most are concentrated around Kalara Prime. And the Villani survivors? Captain Hana's group is hiding behind the fourth moon. 17 ships, mostly civilian transports and research vessels. They appear to be intact but low on power." Admiral Minho nodded. The Brutari had been so confident in their superiority that they hadn't even bothered to hunt down all the Villani ships. That overconfidence would be their first mistake. Captain Sora approached with her stealth wing ready for deployment. "Admiral, request permission to begin reconnaissance operations." Denied. "We're not sneaking up on them, Captain. We want them to see us coming." Dr. Nari looked up from her sensor readings. "Sir, I'm detecting massive energy signatures from the Brutari fleet. They're powering weapons and moving to intercept us." "Good. Major Dohun, are your Marines ready?" The big Marine commander checked his equipment one final time. "Sir, boarding parties are standing by. We've studied Brutari ship layouts from the intelligence files. My people know where to go and what to do." Admiral Minho walked to the main display screen that showed the entire Kalara system. 53 red dots representing Brutari ships were moving toward his fleet. On Kalara Prime itself, he could see the fires still burning in what had once been beautiful cities. "Before we begin," Minho said to his bridge crew, "I want everyone to understand what we're looking at. Those aren't military targets down there. They're art galleries, schools, and hospitals. The Brutari have been hunting children for 3 days." The anger on his bridge was thick enough to cut with a knife. Human crews had spent the 18-hour journey learning about Villani culture, seeing pictures of their peaceful world before the attack. Every human in the fleet now understood what they were fighting to protect. "Communications, open a channel to the Brutari fleet." "Channel open, sir." Minho's voice went out across space, calm and cold. "This is Admiral Minho of the Terran Defense Force. You are in violation of galactic peace accords. You will immediately cease all hostile actions against the Villani people and surrender for trial." The response came back in the harsh, growling language of the Brutari. War Chief Thakran's translator made his words understandable, but the cruel laughter behind them needed no translation. "Humans, we have heard of your weak species. You hide on your single world while real warriors conquer the galaxy. We welcome new prey to hunt." "I see," Admiral Minho replied. "Dr. Nari, please scan the asteroid field near their position. Select a target approximately 2 kilometers in diameter." "Target selected, sir. Asteroid designated Alpha 7. Weapons, prepare a single kinetic projectile. Not a missile, not an energy weapon, just a chunk of metal moving very, very fast." The weapons officer looked confused but followed orders. "Kinetic projectile ready, sir. Standard tungsten rod, accelerated to 0.7 light speed. Fire." The Soul's Fury launched a simple piece of metal at incredible speed. It crossed the distance to the asteroid in less than a second. When it hit, the result was spectacular. The 2-kilometer asteroid didn't just break apart, it vaporized. The explosion lit up space like a small sun, sending debris flying in all directions. Every ship in the system detected the energy release. The Brutari sensors went crazy trying to measure the weapon that could completely destroy a small moon with a single shot. Admiral Minho opened the communication channel again. That was a demonstration. That asteroid was roughly the same size and composition as your largest battleship. We have 846 more ships that can do the same thing. Do you still want to fight? For the first time there was silence from the Brutari fleet. War Chief Thakran's voice came back, but now it sounded uncertain. "You would threaten us with one weapon? We have 50 ships of the line." "Commander Hyuk," Admiral Minho said calmly, "please show the Brutari our fleet disposition." Every human ship powered up their weapons at the same time. 847 warships lit up space with targeting lasers, missile locks, and charged energy weapons. The combined power signature was greater than most star systems' total energy output. Captain Hana was watching from her hiding place behind the moon. Her science officer Kelu was staring at his sensors in disbelief. "Captain, the energy readings from the human fleet, it's impossible. No species should be able to generate that much destructive power." "Who are these humans?" Hana whispered. She was about to find out. Admiral Minho opened the channel once more, but this time he included a data transmission. Intelligence files on human history, showing the Brutari exactly what kind of species they were facing. "War Chief Thakran, allow me to introduce my people. We evolved on a Class 12 death world where everything, including the weather, actively tries to kill us. We survived ice ages that lasted 50,000 years. We survived plagues that killed 90% of our population. We survived wars where we dropped weapons that could destroy entire continents." The data files showed images of Earth's history, natural disasters that would have ended other civilizations, wars where humans fought each other with weapons that could crack planets, pictures of human cities rebuilt after being completely destroyed over and over again. "We are persistence predators," Admiral Minho continued. "Do you know what that means? It means we don't give up, ever. We will chase our prey across continents, across years, across space itself. We never stop, and we never forgive, the Brutari." Ships had stopped advancing. Their formation was becoming ragged as individual captains began to understand what they were facing. "You hunt civilians for sport," Admiral Minho said, his voice growing colder. "You kill children for trophies. You destroy art and knowledge for entertainment. On Earth, we have a word for creatures that hunt the helpless." The pause was long enough for every being in the system to feel the weight of what was coming. "We call them prey." That's when War Chief Thakran made his second mistake. Instead of surrendering, instead of running, he ordered his fleet to attack. 53 Brutari warships launched everything they had at the human fleet. The humans didn't even bother to dodge. Their shields absorbed the Brutari weapons like they were throwing stones at a mountain. Advanced human technology designed to survive the weapons humans built to kill each other barely registered the alien attack. "Well," Admiral Minho said to his bridge crew, "I gave them a chance. Captain Sora, launch your fighters. Major Dohun, prepare boarding parties. Commander Hayek, target their weapons and engines only. We want prisoners." "Sir?" Commander Hayek looked confused. "Why not destroy them?" Admiral Minho's smile was not pleasant. "Because I want the galaxy to see what happens next. I want every predator species to understand that hunting the innocent has consequences. Death is too easy. They're going to face justice." The human attack began with surgical precision. Stealth fighters appeared from nowhere, targeting Brutari communication systems and sensor arrays. The aliens found themselves blind and deaf in space, unable to coordinate their defense. Marine boarding ships launched from human cruisers, moving too fast for Brutari point defense systems to track. Major Dohun's troops began taking Brutari vessels one by one, using non-lethal weapons to subdue the crews. The most terrifying part wasn't the human weapons or their technology, it was their efficiency. The humans moved like they had done this 1,000 times before. Every action was calculated, every strike precisely placed to disable without destroying. War Chief Thakran realized he wasn't fighting warriors like himself. He was fighting something evolution had spent millions of years perfecting. He was fighting apex predators who had learned to hunt as a pack. For the first time in his life, the great Brutari warrior felt afraid. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The humans didn't fight like the Brutari expected. There was no charging forward with weapons blazing, no wild attacks driven by anger or honor. Instead, the human fleet moved, like a living creature, each ship working perfectly with all the others. Commander Hyuk coordinated the attack from his position on the Soul's Fury. He had studied warfare his entire life, learning from every conflict in human history. Now he was putting thousands of years of military evolution to work against an enemy that still fought like wild animals. "First wave, disable their communications," Hayek ordered. "Second wave, target engines only. Third wave, prepare boarding, operations." Captain Sora's stealth fighters moved through space like ghosts. The Brutari couldn't see them coming until it was too late. Her pilots used EMP weapons to shut down alien systems instead of destroying them. One by one, Brutari ships went dark, floating helpless in space. "This is Blue Leader to command," Sora reported over the radio. "Brutari flagship is disabled. All communication systems are down. They can't coordinate their defense anymore. Major..." Dohun watched the tactical display as Brutari ships became isolated targets. His Marines were ready to board them, but first the humans needed to deliver a different kind of attack. A psychological one. "Dr. Nari," Admiral Minho called, "begin broadcasting the evidence files." Dr. Nari activated the most powerful communication system in the human fleet. The transmission went out to every ship in the system, including the Brutari, vessels, and the hiding Villani survivors. But this wasn't a normal military broadcast. It was footage of what the Brutari had done on Kalara Prime. The humans had recovered the recordings from Villani security systems and survivor accounts. They showed Brutari warriors hunting Villani children through the crystal forests. They showed alien soldiers destroying hospitals and schools for entertainment. They showed the brutal torture of civilians who had never hurt anyone in their lives. But the humans did something the Brutari had never experienced. They broadcast the footage back to the Brutari ships with commentary in their own language. "This is what you call honor?" Admiral Minho's translator spoke in perfect Brutari. "You see this child running from your warriors? She was 6 years old. She was hiding in a school when you found her." The footage continued, showing more and more evidence of Brutari cruelty. But with each scene, Admiral Minho's voice asked the same question. "Is this your strength? Is this your glory?" On the Brutari ships, crews watched in uncomfortable silence. Many of them had participated in the attacks. They had thought it was glorious conquest, the natural right of the strong over the weak. But seeing it replayed by their enemies, hearing it described with cold facts instead of warrior songs, made it look different. It looked like murder. "Continue the assault," Admiral Minho ordered. "But I want every Brutari to understand exactly what they did before we capture them." Major Dohun's Marines began their boarding operations. The big Marine commander led the assault on the Brutari, flagship personally, his soldiers moving through the alien ship like professionals. They used stun weapons and gas grenades instead of bullets and explosions. "Secure the bridge," Dohun ordered his squad leaders. "Take prisoners, not trophies." The difference was important. The Brutari fought for personal glory and the right to brag about their victories. The humans fought to accomplish a mission. When Brutari warriors tried to make heroic last stands, human Marines simply waited for the sleeping gas to take effect, then tied them up. War Chief Thakran found himself face to face with Major Dohun in his own command center. The alien warrior was almost 3 meters tall and covered in battle scars. He should have been terrifying. But the human Marine looked at him like he was just another problem to solve. "You are the leader?" Dohun asked in careful Brutari. "I am. War Chief Thakran. I have conquered 18 worlds. I have taken 1,000 trophies. You hunt children," Dohun replied calmly. "On my world, we have a word for adults who hurt children." Thakran drew his weapon, a massive blade that could cut through metal. He was expecting the human to do the same, to meet him in honorable combat. Instead, Dohun pulled out a small device and pressed a button. The stun blast knocked Thakran unconscious before he could swing his sword. "Cowards," Dohun said to the unconscious alien. "We don't fight fair, we fight to win." Throughout the system, similar scenes were playing out. Human boarding parties took control of Brutari ships without killing their crews. Human pilots disabled alien fighters without destroying them. Human commanders captured enemy officers without giving them glorious deaths in battle. The humans were doing something the Brutari had never experienced. They were being completely defeated by an enemy that refused to give them honor or glory, or even the dignity of dying as warriors. Captain Hana watched the battle from her hiding place, unable to believe what she was seeing. The humans moved through the Brutari fleet like they owned it. In less than 2 hours, they had captured every enemy ship and taken every alien warrior prisoner. "Captain," her communications officer reported, "I'm receiving a transmission from the human admiral." "This is Admiral Minho to Captain Hana," the message said. "The immediate threat has been eliminated. Please bring your ships out of hiding. We need to discuss the situation on Kalara Prime." Hana's ship emerged from behind the moon along with the other Villani survivors. As they approached the human fleet, she got her first close look at the ships that had saved her people. They were beautiful and terrible at the same time, sleek hulls covered in weapons, built by a species that had learned to kill everything on their own world before reaching for the stars. Each ship was a work of art, dedicated to the science of warfare. Dr. Nari to Captain Hana came another transmission. "We need to understand the situation on your world. How many of your people are still alive down there?" Hana's science officer had been monitoring the planet throughout the battle. "Perhaps 2 million survivors out of 50 million total population. Most are hiding in underground shelters or remote areas. The Brutari have control of all major cities." "Not anymore," Admiral Minho's voice cut in. "Major Dohun, prepare your Marines for planetary assault. We're going down there to finish this." The human response was immediate and overwhelming. Dropships launched from the fleet carrying thousands of Marines. Fighter squadrons provided air support. Heavy weapons teams prepared to assault Brutari ground positions, but the humans had one more surprise for their enemies. All captured Brutari personnel, Admiral Minho broadcast on their ship frequencies, are required to watch the following presentation. What followed was a complete education in human military history. The Brutari prisoners were shown footage of human wars, human weapons, and human tactics. They learned about the siege of Leningrad, where humans survived 900 days of starvation rather than surrender. They learned about D-Day, where humans crossed an ocean to fight tyranny. They learned about dozens of conflicts where humans had faced impossible odds and refused to give up. "This is what we do to enemies who threaten innocent people," the narrator explained. "We hunt them across space and time. We follow them to the ends of the universe. We never stop and we never forget." The presentation ended with footage from Kalara Prime, showing Brutari warriors hunting Villani children. But now the prisoners understood who they were really fighting. They weren't fighting another warrior species. They were fighting the apex, predators of a death world. Beings who had learned to survive anything the universe could throw at them. And those apex predators had decided that the Brutari were the enemy. War Chief Thakran woke up in a human detention cell, his weapons gone, and his hands bound. Through the transparent wall, he could see human Marines preparing for the assault on Kalara Prime. They moved with the quiet efficiency of professional killers, checking their equipment and planning their attack. For the first time in his life, the great Brutari warrior understood what it felt like to be prey. On Kalara Prime, the remaining Brutari ground forces detected the approaching human dropships. They prepared for glorious battle against these new enemies, expecting the humans to fight like all the other species they had conquered. They were about to learn why that was a very bad assumption. The liberation of Kalara Prime took exactly 6 hours. Major Dohun's Marines landed in the crystal forests where Villani survivors were hiding, while Captain Sora's fighters eliminated every Brutari position from the sky. The alien ground forces never had a chance to organize a defense. The humans moved through the ruined cities like they had been born for this kind of warfare. Every Marine knew exactly where to go and what to do. They rescued Villani civilians from hiding places, captured Brutari warriors alive, and began the process of restoring order to the devastated world. Admiral Minho landed with the second wave of troops walking through the remains of Kalara Prime's capital city. The beautiful crystal towers were broken and burned. Art galleries that had taken centuries to create were now piles of rubble. The musical gardens where Villani children had played were silent. Captain Hana met him at the emergency shelter where the survivors were gathered. She was a small, fragile-looking being, with large eyes that showed too much pain for someone so young. When she saw the human admiral, she fell to her knees. "Thank you," she whispered. "We thought we were all going to die." Admiral Minho helped her to her feet. "Stand up, Captain. You don't bow to allies." "Allies? You asked for help," we answered. "That makes you our friends." Hana looked around at the human Marines distributing medical supplies and food to her people. But why? You don't even know us. We have nothing to offer you in return. Admiral Minho was quiet for a moment, studying the ruins around them. Captain, let me tell you about human history. We spent most of our time on Earth fighting each other. Wars that lasted decades, weapons that could end civilization, hatred that passed from parents to children for generations. He pointed to a human medic treating a wounded Villani child. But we learned something from all that fighting. We learned that the strong have a responsibility to protect the weak, not because we get something in return, but because it's the right thing to do. The next few weeks changed everything for both species. The humans didn't just leave after winning the battle. They stayed to help rebuild. Human engineers worked with Villani architects to repair the crystal cities. Human doctors treated wounded civilians. Human teachers helped Villani children learn to feel safe again. But the most important work was happening in the detention centers where the captured Brutari were held. Dr. Nari had designed a rehabilitation program unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of executing the alien warriors or throwing them into prison forever, the humans were trying something different. They were making the Brutari understand what they had done. War Chief Thakran sat in a small room with Major Dohun, watching footage of Kalara Prime before the attack. The alien warrior had been forced to watch the same recordings every day for 2 weeks. At first he had been angry and defiant. Now he just looked tired. "Look at this," Dohun said, pointing to the screen. "This was a school where Villani children learned about art and music. Your warriors burned it down and hunted the students for sport." Thakran didn't answer. He had stopped defending his actions after the first few days. "Do you know what we're going to do to you?" Dohun asked. The Brutari expected execution or permanent imprisonment. That's what his people would have done to defeated enemies. "We're going to make you fix it," Dohun said simply. "What? You destroyed their world. Now you're going to help rebuild it. Every Brutari warrior who participated in the attack on Kalara Prime will spend the next 10 years helping the Villani recover. You'll learn their language, understand their culture, and work to restore what you destroyed." Thakran stared at the human in disbelief. "You're not going to kill me?" "Death is easy," Dohun replied. "Learning to be better is hard. That's real justice." The rehabilitation program was unlike anything the Brutari had ever experienced. They were forced to live among the people they had tried to destroy, to see them as individuals instead of prey. Former warriors found themselves helping to rebuild schools, hospitals, and art galleries. At first, the Villani were terrified of their former attackers, but as months passed, something extraordinary began to happen. The Brutari started to understand what they had almost destroyed. They learned about Villani art, science, and philosophy. They began to see beauty where they had once seen only weakness. Captain, Hana worked closely with Admiral Minho to establish a new government for her world. The humans helped, but they didn't take control. They made sure the Villani could protect themselves in the future while maintaining their peaceful culture. "We're setting up defense stations around your system," Admiral Minho explained to the Villani Council. "Any ship that enters your space will be scanned and identified. If someone threatens you again, we'll know about it immediately." "And you'll come back?" asked Governor Yelu, who had survived the attack by hiding in underground tunnels. "We'll come back," Admiral Minho promised. "The galaxy needs to understand that some species are under human protection. Anyone who hurts you will have to answer to us." 6 months after the battle, something unprecedented happened. A former Brutari warrior named Grax approached Captain Hana with a request. He had been working to rebuild a school that his unit had destroyed, and he wanted to know more about the Villani children who had died there. "I want to understand what they were learning," Grax said through a translator. "I want to know what dreams we killed when we burned this place." Hana showed him the school's records, pictures of young Villani students working on art projects, learning about distant stars, writing stories about exploring the galaxy. These weren't the weak prey animals that Brutari culture had taught him to see. They were intelligent beings, with hopes and dreams and potential that had been lost forever. Grax spent the rest of the day sitting in the ruins of the school, holding pictures of children he would never be able to apologize to. The story of Kalara Prime spread throughout the galaxy. Other species heard about the humans who had traveled across space to protect strangers. They learned about the aftermath, where the victors had chosen rehabilitation over revenge. Some species were inspired by the human example. They began reaching out to their neighbors, offering protection and friendship instead of conquest or exploitation. Other species were terrified. The predator races that survived by attacking weaker civilizations suddenly realized they might face consequences for their actions. A year after the battle, Admiral Minho received a transmission from the Galactic Council, inviting humanity to join as a member species. The message was formal and diplomatic, but everyone understood what it really meant. The galaxy wanted the humans on their side. The formal ceremony took place on Kalara Prime, in a crystal amphitheater that had been rebuilt by Brutari workers under Villani supervision. Representatives from dozens of species attended, watching as Captain Hana presented Admiral Minho with a crystal sculpture that sang in the wind. "This represents the friendship between our peoples," she said. "It will play music as long as the wind blows, just as our alliance will last as long as beings need protection from those who would harm them." Admiral Minho accepted the gift, then gave his own speech to the assembled delegates. "Today, humanity accepts the responsibility of galactic membership. We offer our protection to any species that chooses peace over war, creation over destruction, hope over fear. But we also send a message to those who prey on the innocent." He paused, making sure every delegate understood his words. "We are the children of a death world. We survived everything our planet could do to us, and we learned to survive each other. We are persistence predators who never give up and never forget. If you harm those under our protection, we will find you. We will stop you, and we will make sure you understand exactly what you did wrong." The final scene of the story took place in the rebuilt school, where Grax had discovered the pictures of dead children. The former Brutari warrior was now teaching Villani students about engineering, helping them design new cities that could be both beautiful and strong. One of the students, a young Villani girl named Kira, raised her hand with a question. "Teacher Grax, why did your people attack us?" The former warrior thought carefully before answering. "Because we were taught that strength meant hurting others. The humans showed us that real strength means protecting others." "Are the humans our friends now?" Grax looked out the window at the human patrol ships orbiting overhead, keeping watch over the peaceful world below. "Yes," he said, "and that means you're safe." In his final report to Earth Command, Admiral Minho wrote, "Mission accomplished. The Kalara system is secure, the Villani people are rebuilding, and the galaxy understands that humanity keeps its promises. We have proven that apex predators can choose to be protectors instead of destroyers. The universe is a little bit safer today because someone asked for help, and we answered." The report was filed in the archives of human history, next to records of every other time humanity had chosen to fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. It was a reminder that being the most dangerous species in the galaxy also meant having the power to choose mercy. And sometimes, that mercy came with the promise of overwhelming violence for anyone who threatened the innocent. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity had found its place among the stars. In the crystal cities of Kalara Prime, Villani children played safely while human ships kept watch overhead.